YouTube, my name is Elizabeth and welcome back to the Owlery. Today I am bringing you the very first video in my series. So I announced a couple days ago that I am going to be doing a thing that I am calling Series September, where I complete as many series as possible in the month of September. And in order to do that, I kind of wanted to give you guys an update on where I am in a bunch of series. And the first one that I'm doing, because I know you guys all love these type of videos, is series I will not be continuing, not be completing. There's just no way, no how I'm doing it. I'm done with these series. So let's just start off with a doozy, shall we? The Mortal Instruments. I read the first 3 books in this series and I did not like them at all, not even a little bit. They're just not for me. And then I realized, I learned from somewhere that the Infernal Devices is like historical, and I'm a huge history buff, okay? So I was like, alright, I'll try that one, let's see how I like it. Read the first one, hated it, so I'm not going to be reading the Mortal Instruments, the Infernal Devices, or any other Cassandra Clare book. Now, next is the Precious Stones trilogy, and I read Ruby Red, and it was okay, but I didn't hear anyone say anything really good about Sapphire Blue or Emerald Green, and I heard some people even just didn't like it. The series went really downhill, and I just have no more interest in reading it. I remember really liking Ruby Red when I read it, but it didn't wow me. Then the Old Man's War series by John Scalzi, I believe. I read the first one and really enjoyed it, but there's like 5 more books in the series and a spin-off series, and like I just wasn't a big enough fan to continue on with the rest of them. I thought the first book was good and it ended off on a good note. It didn't need more books in the series. You could definitely read this as a standalone and be completely happy with it. The Iron Fae series by Julie Kagawa. So I've only ever read like 2 Fae books that I really enjoyed, and in the beginning when I first started booktube, Fae was really big and I read a bunch of them, but I didn't like any of them. I was convinced until Akatar came out. I was like, I must just not like Fae books for some reason, but I've read some more Fae books since and I really enjoyed them. But this series has like 6 books in it or something like that, and I didn't like the first one and it just didn't seem interesting to me enough to continue on. Seeker by Arwen Ellis Dayton. So this is a couple, I think 2 more books in the series, and I read the first one and it sucked. It was really bad. It was like a fantasy sci-fi mix and I was not expecting that at all, and I never read anything like that, and I was just like, I don't like it. I don't like it. I think I DNF'd it like 70%. I was like, nope, not doing it. And the writing style was terrible. So yeah. Just nope, not gonna finish the series at all. The Monsters of Verity series, I read the first one and it was just too weird for me. Like these super weird descriptions and like these character-driven stories that just, I don't know, I just don't feel like they have enough plot, and I don't really know what's going on most of the time. I don't know. They're just over my head and I don't like these type of stories at all, and so I'm not going to read the next books in the series. The Fire and Thorns series, we read the first book, Chloe and I read the first book for the Once Upon a Read Along that we do every single month, and we both rated it like 2 stars. I read a bunch of fantasy and this was just not anywhere near my favorite, and there's 2 other books in this series and I have no interest in continuing on at all. Alright, another big one for you guys. I read the entirety of the Percy Jackson series by Rick Riordan, and it was okay. And then I read the first book in the Heroes of Olympus and I was like, this is not any different than the Percy Jackson series. Like, my theory with Rick Riordan is that all of his main characters are the exact same person. I mean, not like literally the exact same person, but they're the same person. Like, they have the same qualities and quirks, and it just bores me to death. So I read the first book in the Heroes of Olympus and the first book in the Magnus Chasing the Gods of Asgard. That was the one that did it for me. Magnus Chasing the Gods of Asgard, I was like, okay, I've read 3 different main characters from 3 different series from this guy, and all of the main characters are the exact freaking same, so I'm not reading any more of them. Cinderella's Dress, this book was terrible. I thought it was like a Cinderella's Dress retelling, but it's about this family who is like entrusted to take care of Cinderella's dress, and then there's these people who are trying to steal it, but it doesn't really give you any background as to why Cinderella's dress is so important. It could have been just 1 book, but she came out with like Cinderella's shoes, and then I think there's another one coming out. I don't even know. It was just horrible, and I'm not going to continue on. The Tide series by Holly Black, another book, Fae book that I tried to read during the time of the Iron Fae series, and it was I just, nope, didn't like it. Pretty Little Liars. So I think I read 2 or 3 of these, and I was watching the TV series at the same time too, and I just lost complete interest in both of the storylines. Like, I don't care who A is, I don't care who's dead, I don't care who's not dead, I don't care who's pretending to be somebody else, I just don't care. I have zero, like, this is one of the series that there is no way in hell you could make me read these. The Luck series, so the Luck series was really big when I first started BookTube, and I was kind of just wanting to read what everyone else was reading because it was popular, and it was okay, but I never got around to reading the other ones, and now I just have no interest to do that. Bookishly Ever After was kind of like the same type of book as like Fangirl. It's about this girl in high school. I know Fangirl, she's in college, but a girl in high school, and she's like big fangirly geek, and she likes all these books and fangirly things, right? But like, her relationship and her boy obsessiveness just completely like took over this story, and it was just terrible. Serafina, I read this and I just wasn't impressed. Like, it's about this girl who turns into dragons, and I just wasn't impressed with the way that it was written. I just wasn't impressed with it, and I didn't like it at all. The Great Library series by Rachel Kane. I was super disappointed in this book. It's an alternate history or an alternate future of if the Library of Alexandria had never burned down. And like I said, I'm a historian, I love history, and like the Library of Alexandria burning down was just a huge hit to the human population in general. Like, if the Library of Alexandria had never burnt down, we would be so much more advanced than we are now. And so when I heard that there was a book that was about that, I was like, I need to read it, and it wasn't anything like I was expecting. Like, the Library of Alexandria is now like this government power that controls the world, and it's like a bad thing, and it's like, for a book lover, when you're reading a book about a library, like, it just sucked that it was a bad thing. I was just really hoping that the Library of Alexandria was a good place, and I don't know what I was expecting out of that. It doesn't seem like that would be a good plot, but it just wasn't what I wanted out of this story. The Madman's Daughter was a retelling of The Island of Dr. Thoreau, I think. Dr. Moreau. Thoreau? Is that Moreau? I don't remember what his name is. I don't know. The Island of Dr. Moreau? I think it's Moreau, not Thoreau. I'm thinking of like the author. Anyway. So this is it's a retelling of a classic story, and basically this doctor is like Frankensteining these animals and humans, and it was just like, it was like gut-wrenching to read about this doctor like taking humans and animals and like putting them together, and it was just, it was really hard to read. So I just was like not expecting that, and it was really, I just didn't like it. I can't read that type of story that basically abuses animals, and I just can't do it. Nope. Talon by Julie Kuawa is basically like Serafina in modern day, where these people can turn into dragons, and I just really love the idea of that story, like that plot line, but I just don't think anyone has executed it well enough for my liking. So yeah, I just didn't enjoy this one either. Only read the first one, I'm not gonna read the rest of them. The Alchemist Chronicles, I don't remember what this one is about, but I remember like liking it during, but then like a week later I went to go do my wrap up or something like that, and I had forgotten everything. Like, obviously you didn't hold my interest enough for me to want to like continue on with the series. Like, I was like, okay, I'm not gonna keep reading this story if it's just the least memorable book I've ever read. And last but not least is Zeros by Scott Westerfeld. So I read this last year, I think, and I really liked the first one. It's about these kids who have like superpowers that are not useful at all, and the first one I really enjoyed, and I was excited about reading the second one, but then that excitement kind of faded off. This is one of the ones that's like, maybe I'll get to it one day, but if I don't, I'm not even going to be that upset about it. If you guys have read any of these series, especially the ones that I was like iffy on, don't try to convince me to read the ones that I was like, nope, not happening. Don't try to convince me on those. But any of the ones I was iffy on, like Zeros or anything like that, let me know in the comments below if you read them and loved them, and then maybe I'll consider reading them at some point in my life. But that's all I have for you guys for my series that I will not be continuing. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you want to watch another one of my videos, you can click right here, or if you would like to subscribe, you can click my face, which should be over here somewhere. Check out the description down below for some giveaways and some of my social media links if you want to connect with me in other places, and I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye!